Hi. In session 2, actually what I do is I talk about the power of your thoughts. The way that what you think will give you certain emotions, and fear is an emotion and happiness is an emotion. So in a way what you think can control how you will feel. A lot of people, for instance, they are often disappointed and they often have such high expectations of themselves that they often feel like they can never reach what they need to reach. They are always running behind things and they always feel almost depressed because of that. And of course it becomes very hard if that's the way that you have to live your life. If you want everything to be perfect, it's easy to be disappointed. And if then when you're disappointed you start saying it to yourself, you start saying things like, why can't I ever do this or that, or why is it always like that with me? Why do I have to feel this right here? If you're mad at yourself, you're giving yourself the worst emotions that you can give yourself, and your body is going to respond by giving you certain symptoms, by making you depressed, by making you anxious. So that's why this session is very important, because it's going to help you to change a little bit the way that you think and the way that you feel. I've read a book, if that's correct English, about this subject, and it's the book, and it's called Emotional Intelligence, written by Daniel Goleman. It's a little bit of a difficult book every now and then, but it's quite important to know how to control your emotions. That's what he's saying in his entire book. I don't know if you know, but emotional intelligence, EQ, is much more important than IQ these days, and that's because if you can control your emotions, you can decide when you want to be happy or when you don't want to be happy. And quite often, the entire situation, the level of stress that you will feel, for instance, will change simply because you change the way that you give a little story to something that's happening. There are a lot of things that are happening outside of you every second, and you always tell little stories inside of your head to decide what that means for you. That's the little interpretation that you give in your head. I'm going to give you a little story right now that's going to show you the difference. Now suppose that we have a man and his name is Bob, and Bob has a wife and his wife is called Brenda, and I'm inventing this, okay? So you have Bob and Brenda, and they have a marriage, but it isn't the best marriage anymore. I mean, they don't really fight, but the love isn't the way that it's supposed to be. Okay, now Bob promised Brenda that he was going to mow the lawn this Saturday, and Brenda had to work on Saturday, so she's out of the house. Bob wakes up in the morning, his wife is already gone, gets out of bed, and he opens the curtains, and he sees that it's raining. He sees that it's raining, and then that's what's happening. What is raining is what's happening outside of Bob. Bob has to give an interpretation. Bob has to tell himself a little story right now to see what this means to him. At first, Bob might say, it's raining, and I was supposed to mow the lawn. What am I going to do right now? I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't know what I can do right now to make this go away. And my wife, she's going to be mad at me. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I can do other stuff in the house, but she wanted me to mow the lawn. So when she's going to come home tonight, she's going to be mad, probably, and that's not going to be any fun. So what can I do now? She's going to be mad. My entire weekend just wasted. And Monday I have this important meeting, and I don't want to have a wasted weekend. And he continues to talk like that. Now guess what his afternoon or what his day is going to be like? He's going to be frustrated, he's going to be anxious, and he's going to be depressed. Because there's stuff happening outside of him that he can't control, and that's life, but he wants to control it, so he's mad, and he thinks, Guess what his mood is going to be like when his wife is going to come home? Might it be possible that there will be a fight between the two of them simply because Bob has been messing up his own mind the entire day? Yes, and it can be worse. Just suppose that Bob opens the curtains and he sees that it's raining, and then he says, every time I want to do something, I can't. Every time I get the courage to do something, it doesn't work out. Look at this, now it's raining. I wanted to do the lawn. I wanted to mow the lawn today, and I can't even mow the lawn. I'm a failure in life. There's nothing I can do. Guess what his day is going to be like if that's the way that Bob thinks? Guess what his life is going to be like if that's the way that Bob thinks? And the same thing is happening. It's still just raining outside. Now there's another way that Bob can talk to himself when he sees that. He opens up his curtains yet again and it's still raining. And Bob says, bummer, it's raining. And I like it when it rains because then I can't mow the lawn. And I promised my wife that I was going to mow the lawn. Why did I promise that to my wife? Because I wanted to do something for her. I wanted to show her that I love her. What else can I do to show her that I love her? I know that she likes lasagna. And I know that she thinks that I can't cook, but actually I do know how to make lasagna. We've been married for 35 years and I've never made her lasagna. So I'm going to shop today. I'm going to buy all of the ingredients, and by the time that she comes home tonight, I will have made her the best lasagna ever. She's going to be happy probably when she's going to eat that lasagna. And the entire day Bob looks up ingredients, he looks up recipes and things that he can do for his lasagna. He goes to shop, he goes to the grocery, he buys his things, he has fun, he creates the lasagna, his wife comes home, the table is all set, the wine is there, everything is set. What is his life going to be like if that's the way that Bob thinks, if that's the way that Bob tells himself stories when stuff is happening outside of him? His entire life is going to be different. Everything is going to be different. And everything outside of him is still the same. It was still a Saturday, it was still raining, his marriage was still not the best marriage ever, but the way that he talks to himself is changing everything that he's feeling. He had a great Saturday and he didn't have any anxiety, any frustration, or any depressive feelings, simply because that was his decision. It's his decision between the three stories. He can decide when he wakes up, am I going to say, oh, it's raining? Or am I going to say, okay, it's raining. What else can I do? It's his focus. It's him. And that is one of the most important things. There's a lot of people that are very depressed in life, and I quite often meet them here in Belgium when I'm simply researching this area of expertise. And you have two types of people. Don't know if you've seen the video about the depressed dog already that I posted on the blog. If you haven't seen it already, then you'll still see it, because I send out videos that I've created before, even later on in the newsletter again. But a depressed dog, for instance, is a dog that always thinks, I'm never going to be able to do anything great, and that dog simply doesn't do a lot of stuff. Now, if that's the way that Bob would think in life, he would get a lot of bad emotions. But it's always your choice. If you have panic attacks, for instance, it's not your car's fault, it's not the fault of the restaurant, of the tunnel, of the bridge, of the meeting, of the plane, of the whatever that you're afraid of. It is your choice to have a panic attack. And that's something that you probably don't want to hear, because all of a sudden you are responsible for this. That can be the bad news, but yet again, there's another way that you can interpret that, that you can get another interpretation for that, and that is that if it's you that's responsible, it is you that can take it away. And the things that you need to do to take it away are already inside of you. And they are by accident in session 2. So I hope that you will enjoy session 2. And session 3, that's coming right after this, is going to build even more on this. Because the emotions, they are very important. They are the secret of the happy people that seem to be so lucky in life all the time. That's what they are doing. Another example is that if the way that you talk to yourself is bad, you might have low levels of self-confidence, for instance. Just imagine that you are walking in the streets and all of a sudden there's a group of kids that's just passing you by, and they start to laugh just when they've passed you. What are you going to say to yourself? What is the little story that you're going to tell yourself to explain what just happened? Some people will say, uh-oh, what's wrong with my hair? Or why are they laughing with me? What's wrong with me? And they think it's their fault. They don't have a lot of self-confidence, because they will think things like that quite often, and it is going to destroy their self-confidence. Another way of saying something else to yourself would be, hey, that must have been a good joke that they just told themselves. What will the difference be if that's the way that you would interpret or give an interpretation to something like that? People pass you by, they laugh, and you say, that must have been a great joke. You're going to have lots of self-confidence. See? Little changes in the little voice that you have inside of your head, little changes in what you say to yourself, give big changes in the emotions that you feel, the self-confidence that you will have, the anxiety that you won't have anymore. So this session is an important session, and I hope that you will enjoy it. See you soon.